Just more proof this week that if you are a conservative comic book creator, you're putting out a product that maybe goes slightly against the mainstream narrative, that your options for promotion and marketing are severely limited, especially if you want to reach people who don't necessarily frequent conservative hubs on YouTube or wherever else. This is Private American. It's made by legendary comic book writer Mike Baron. If you're not familiar with Mike, he made his name on characters like Nexus here. He made with Steve Rude, the Badger, creator of the Badger. But you probably heard of this one here. He was the guy who wrote, I think, something like the first 50 issues of The Punisher back in the 80s. Mike Baron is a big deal. And what's happening now is he's sort of he's out on his own. He's crowdfunding his own comics. He's writing the comics that he wants to write. You know, he came up writing these badass characters like the Punisher. And now he wants to write similar characters who embody values and that sort of stuff that he aligns with. So he has to turn to crowdfunding now because the mainstream industry no longer supports any characters like that. Actually, with the Punisher now, they're trying to really water him down, walk him back, make him not really reflect anything that existed previously. So he's crowdfunding his own books. He had massive success recently with a comic book. We'll get into that in a second, but he's got a new book out. It's called The Private American. There's the graphics there for it. And what Mike does is when he creates these things, he creates a Twitter account for them, so that because he's got a personal account and he wants to keep that separate. He creates an account purely for that thing. So if you want to know everything about Private American, jump onto that Twitter account. Well, you can't anymore. Here's Chris Braley, the editor over at Bleeding Full. He says, why is Twitter trying to shut down the Bloody Red Baron and Richard Bonk's latest crowdfunding comic, Private American? Are they upset that it shines a light on America's open border crisis? And there it is right there. You cannot go to Private American. The account is suspended. Here's another tweet saying, Team Private American must be the A-team of indie comics. Your account has been suspended and will not be restored because it's found to be violating the Twitter terms of service. Managing multiple accounts for abusive purposes. Support Mike Baron here, and there's a link to the project. Interestingly enough, as an aside, the main character in this story is a Hispanic American. I think is from is it Cuba? Is it? Forgive me, Mike. I can't remember exactly where he's from, but his it's not the comic that a lot of these people think it is, presented it is. You can actually follow Mike over on Twitter. He still has his account there. And yeah, look at him up to doing dastardly things like tweeting about Thomas Sowell, promoting some art. He's promoting another independent comic. That's naughty. That's naughty. A Babylon Bee tweet there, a meme. Some more comic book. I mean, this is dastardly stuff that Mike Baron's getting into. Surely none of this applies, is going along with the Twitter terms of service. Very abusive. Look, here's Maverick. Very, masculine. I love that show growing up. And this isn't the first time that Mike has run into this sort of stuff. If we go back to, was it still this year? Twice in a year. It was January this year. His comic, The Thin Blue Line, was banned on Facebook and Reddit. Here's I'll just read the first paragraph of this article here. Mike Baron is an award-winning comic book writer and novelist, and was the longest-running writer on The Punisher for Marvel Comics, crafting the popular vigilante stories for over 5 years. But in today's culture, the biggest comic book publisher in the world is trying to soften the publisher's image, while Baron's newest works are being censored on some of the internet's biggest forums and social media platforms by thin-skinned, dishonest, anonymous moderators who simply don't agree with Baron's support for police or his conservative viewpoints. This is the thing. If you're not familiar with what's going on in comics now, you can work in comics as a conservative as long as you keep your mouth shut and you don't highlight anything in the that might be analogous to the real world that's happening, that aligns with your values and your political beliefs. If you're on the far left, go for it. Have a free for all. In fact, you'll be celebrated. But if you're not, then yeah, you have to just keep all of that out. And that's the situation that Mike Barron, who is clearly vocally conservative and always has been, is it finds himself in now. He launched this book on Kickstarter and Indiegogo and made a ton of money off it, despite the shenanigans of Reddit. Here's Reddit. So someone's made a Reddit post about Mike Barron's comic. And yeah. Hello. Unfortunately, your submission has been removed for the following reasons: misinformation and racism. Yeah, because police and that. Okay, if you feel like your submission has been blah blah blah, that's it didn't. Of course, it didn't break any rules. The only rules it breaks is they don't allow Comicsgate books on Reddit. These are these comic book Reddits, and they especially, I mean, forget about it. Anything pro cop. I mean, this is all made during the whole hype of defund the police and the riots, that so quote unquote peaceful protests that were going on. This is a sort of a response to that and a story. And the thing about Mike is he's not making political pamphlets. He's not beating you over the head with a political message. He's writing real stories with real characters, trying to present real characters as real people that exist in this space. So it's like, I mean, this stuff is like prime drama content here. So you would think this would be fertile ground to create good stories that actually resonate in today's world. But no. Misinformation, racism, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I think they got their account muted and banned from Reddit. We all know that. I mean, anyone from our side of things who tries to go and post anything on Reddit, it's like insta perma ban. Here's an ad. They tried to put up an ad. What does it say here? Thin Blue Line, #1 graphic novel on Kickstarter after being featured on Fox News, right along with Officer Backer as she confronts violent street crime, left-wing riders, right-wing militia, and corruption in her chain of command. Yeah, just sounds like a good, cop drama thing. No, you cannot advertise that. Your ad has been rejected. It mentions politicians or about sensitive social issues that could influence public opinion, how people vote, and may impact on the outcome of an election or pending legislation. I mean, really? I don't know. I guess are they applying that equally across the board? I don't know if they are, but it's silliness. Silliness nonetheless. It didn't actually actually it might have helped him in the end. That's the thing, when these people censor you, it can sometimes create a Streisand effect. And because of this, I think Mike was able to jump onto Fox News and get his message out into a front of a lot of people who otherwise wouldn't have been able to hear it. The thing is, if you want to get your message out, I mean, to people who don't watch Fox News, you're pretty much stuck. If you want to get out to the real broader, wider audience that isn't really tapped into any of this cultural nonsense, yeah, you really can't, because these social media sites will sequester you according to what they perceive as your group. But nonetheless, Mike did quite well, actually did very well on the Thin Blue Line, raising $45,000 on Kickstarter and $95,000 over on Indiegogo. Here's Chris Braley talking about the Thin Blue Line here, showing when Mike approached publishers, to say, hey, would you be interested in helping us publish this and get it out to, they've got access to the stores and the direct market and everything. Here's some of the responses they got back from publishers: abolish the police, F off with this propaganda. Yeah, this one's nice at least. Thanks. We'll be passing on the Thin Blue Line. And unfortunately, a review with term, it's not currently what we're looking for. We're going to pass as well. But yeah, F off with this propaganda. What's going on here? Why isn't this allowed? Why don't they allow stories that present a differing viewpoint to the current mainstream, I want to just say it, left-wing point of view. I want to play a quick video here, and we can. This will sort of highlight, I think, what's going on here.
The bill before us will certainly do some good. It will authorize some badly needed funding for better fences and better security along our borders.
Secure our borders with technology, personnel, physical barriers if necessary in some places.
I voted for a fence. I voted, unlike most Democrats, and some of you won't like it, I voted for 700-mile fence. And let me tell you something, folks. People are driving across that border with tons, hear me, tons of everything from byproducts from methamphetamine to cocaine to heroin. It's all coming up through corrupt Mexico.
Construction of a 630-mile border fence create a significant barrier to illegal immigration on our southern land border.
There you have it. I think this is clear. The people in power and who they're aligned with, they really do not like having their hypocrisy shined back into their faces. And that's what a book like Private American does. This is, I mean, what this comic, the sort of the base, the premise of this comic is about, is the very thing that they all supported a mere, it's some in some of those cases less than 10 years ago. But these things get incredibly politicized. They become highly divisive, and then it sort of becomes a no topic. And that's the problem here. Mike Baron is telling a story. It's a real story, about a person who's like a real character, the way that characters are supposed to be written. And but the premise of it, the setting of it, is a big no. Private American is available now. Look, there's 10 days left on this campaign. It's a gripping and explosive graphic novel from Eisner winner Mike Baron and comic book artist Richard Bonk. And here's you go. America's border is a war zone. Here's the main character here, fighting what looks like some coyotes or some terrorists or something down on the border. It's all about the drug runners and the crazy trafficking that goes on down there. And here's a man who's pushed the limit and taking things into his own hands. Vigilante stories, just like the Punisher used to be, but also very pro-American, because it's about securing borders. It's about fighting back against the people who are causing war and destruction and sending poison into the country. What's not to love? But again, if you hear Mike talk about this, it's not preachy. He's not lecturing. It is a real story based in a real premise, a real setting. The art on it looks fantastic, and I do hope that Mike is able to replicate some of the success, the level of success that he got on the Thin Blue Line here with Private America. It's currently sitting on 20,000 US from 400 backers. If you're interested in something like this, please do jump over to Indiegogo. I will put the link in the description, and you can go help support a legendary comic book writer Mike Baron and his team to getting out stories that clearly social media websites don't want you to read. Guys, if you like this video, please do give it a thumbs up. Consider subscribing, becoming a member. By becoming a member, you are helping to pay for the creation of new comic books right now with that money. So thank you very much for all the support and the help. Oh, and sign up to my graphic novel. It's coming up. It's called The Lucent Painted Death. All right, that's it for me. I will see you next time. Bye.